Bluster-free Thursday afternoon. We've been spoiled the last few days. Have to get the reality check what March is really all about. Anyway, I'd like to introduce everybody to our new law and staff here that's going to keep us straight. Our law firm from Van Winkle. We got Brian Golden.
Hey, thanks. Pleasure to see you guys all again.
Hello, welcome.
Main assistant, Taylor Osborne.
Hello.
Glad to have him on board. Sharon Alexander is retiring at the end of the month. We're gonna have a little laugh over here, but we're glad to have him on board. They'll look after us and take care of us for many years to come, I hope. That being said, I'm looking for an approval of our agenda by motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Say,
I'll second it.
discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, council, call for public comment. We got anybody wrote down over there, sir? Nobody tonight. Anybody in the audience for public comment? Hearing none. Okay. Council comments. Sandra, I will let you go first.
I'd like to say thank you to everybody who sent emails and for those who gave feedback from them. And I would like to thank everybody that came out to the UDO meeting on Tuesday night at the Mills River School Elementary. We need all the help and input on this we can get.
Jeff, you got anything?
Just asking everyone to think of our troops that are in harm's way. And I did see that we'd lost an aircraft, and not due to enemy fire or anything like that. Don't know all the details, but let's just think about the families of the crew and hope that they're found safe and healthy.
Exactly. How about you, sir?
No, except for thanks for everybody who came out on Tuesday. There's a large turnout again, which was nice.
You good?
Everybody else did.
That's right. Yeah, anytime we get any kind of public comment on any matters we got going on in town, it gives us more confidence on the way we're gonna vote. So we appreciate it. All right, manager updates when you get caught up, sir.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. A few items for your attention tonight and for those in attendance. Just a quick update on a couple of major projects that I know has been front and center for many within the community. First, around the North Loop project update. So I'm excited to share that we have put out that bid. It's now publicly available. It's on our website under bid opportunities. And also, if anybody has any questions about it, they can reach out to us and we can make sure that we direct them to the proper place. That is currently scheduled to have the public bid opening on April 1st. And I know everybody's wanting to know, well, that's fantastic, but when are we going to be able to enjoy the river? And right now I can say it's difficult to know exactly when that's going to happen. We can't control the weather. We know that there are certain things outside of our control. However, we did build into that bid document a deadline of June 1st for getting the parking lot and the river access, not the boat launch, but the other river access points open. So our hope is early summer to have that river access. More information is going to be coming out, obviously, as we work through this, but it's a very exciting time for the town. The other item I wanted to mention, another major project, again, thank you to council for your guidance through the budgeting process, is the community survey. So again, the community survey was an item that's new for the town of Mills River. We have that request for proposal out right now. That is also, I'm sorry, it is out, it is closed. We have received multiple proposals. We are now going through that internal process and I'm excited about what I've seen so far. And then the goal will be June into July to be able to now release our first community survey. And so I'm excited to bring those items to council when it's appropriate for that conversation about what the survey is going to look like, what the community can expect through that process, et cetera. But two major items that are moving forward, and I'm excited to share that with you all tonight. And I just want to piggyback real quick off of your comments, Mayor, about welcoming Brian Golden and Taylor Osborne from Van Winkle. I want to thank council for your guidance throughout this process, and Mayor Pro Tem, I really appreciate your leadership through that process, and for all of council, also for giving, and trusting me to work through the negotiation process and finalizing it. So I'm thankful that they are here, and I promise we're going to be putting them to good use in the weeks and months to come. And that concludes my report.
Approval of our consent agenda by motion, please.
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Jeff. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brian. Any discussion on this consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. On to our regular agenda, our public hearing for the amendment to the fee schedule.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. So, our tax collector, Kristen is coming up here, Kristen Rental is coming up here, as well as our finance director, Julie Osteen, to talk about this item moving forward. So thank you
We
both
need
for
to
coming.
go to the public hearing.
Yes. You need us to go into public hearing, okay? All right, somebody make that motion for me.
I'll make the motion that we enter a public hearing.
I got a motion. How about a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sandra. Any discussion on this public hearing before we go in? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in public hearing.
Good evening, council. Kristen Rentoul, I'm the tax collector. This is regarding the ABC permits that the town is required to issue to businesses with active state retail ABC permits. The fee schedule is usually adopted, as you know, with budget, but as we need to have this for a May 1st billing, we needed to adopt this a little bit earlier. But this period takes place from May 1st to June 30th and will be a annual basis.
And this is mandated by the state, as I understand.
This is mandated by the state. The fee schedule is set by the state. We will issue certificates to those businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions? I guess everybody's got a chance just to glance at it and look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, you answered my question. If the fee is set by the state, that's it.
The fee is set by the state. It doesn't cover administrative costs.
Because that was going to be my first question, if you hadn't answered my question.
But yeah,
Anybody got anything else? Let's see, far along. All right, so any public comment on this? We got anybody here who wants to comment on this ABC permitting? What are we calling it?
it's an ABC license.
That's just updated yearly. It'll be a privilege license mandated by the state of North Carolina for such activity. Okay. Makes sense. All right. So with that being said, no public comment.
One thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's May 1st through April 30th.
Oh, well, for paying for it is,
Yeah, the license.
so license, it's a yearly license.
I got you. So for instance, if they didn't have this license purchased before May 1st, is that the date they need to have it in place on their wall?
And so the way that I understand that it works, you go and you go to the ABC, the control board, you get a permit to sell fortified wine or
Yeah.
alcohol. They issue that permit. You can come during that yearly period, submit the requisite information to the tax department, and they issue
Okay.
you the license. But if you're going to adopt it now, then all the licensees that are looking for these privilege licenses would come and apply for them and get them by the time set in the statute. The
Okay.
statute says what the
Okay.
period to run is.
The state, that you have to enroll with the state by the 30th of April, which is why
I see.
basically we will start sending out a bill on the 1st.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
Now. All right. Just for curiosity's sake, what is that fee?
It
Somebody's
is,
not gonna ask me.
depends on the license they have.
Okay. It-
$15 to $37.
It
Okay.
could be $5, it could be 15, it could be
I see.
$7.50 for wholesale.
Okay, I understand. We got a little bit of everything too in the town. Okay,
How many licenses does the town have or give out or issue or?
I want to say that there are about 15 businesses and all of them hold multiple licenses based on what they're doing.
All right, so if we have no more questions and no more public comment, we need to close this public hearing.
Well, I opened it, so I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Got a closed motion, how about a second? Second. Thank you, Brian. All right, any discussion on why we're closing? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Hey, so now we can, discuss a little bit amongst ourselves here, but I think it's cut and dried.
Mhm.
Gotta do it by the state. I'll entertain any motion anybody might want to bring to the table.
So I make a motion that council adopt resolution 2026-05, amending the fee schedule to include ABC permit fees.
Thank you, Brian. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jeff. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of moving forward with this fee schedule?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Right.
If I may, Mayor, before we move to the next one, I just really want to take a moment and thank Julie and Kristen for their hard work on this, not only identifying it and analyzing it in a quickly manner, but also making sure it comes before council in a timely manner to where we can be ready for the licenses this year. So I
Yeah.
just want to thank them for their hard work.
For sure. Thank
Thank
y'all
you.
very much.
Thank
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move along to our UDO presentation.
Be Kristen this evening.
Okay.
Alright.
If you hang around much longer, we'll have to get your nameplates, mate. If it make you feel better,
Even
you
if there are,
lessen
I
the
told you
bill.
There's a couple that do have nameplates, but. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Chad Meadows. Right, thanks so much for the chance to be here. I have frankly lost track of the number of trips that we have been up here, but we're always so excited. Thank you. So excited to come up here. It's so beautiful. And y'all are so blessed to have an opportunity to live.
Hey, that wasn't snow falling today. That was the Bradford power balloons flying around.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. So tonight, if you will indulge us, we want to just give you guys a status update, tell you where we are, and talk about where we go from here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go into kind of where we are, how we got here. I want to talk a little bit about the kitchen sink approach and what that means in a moment. Happy to talk through the zoning methodology that we have gotten assembled and on the webpage and what it means. We'll overview the zoning correction period concept and talk with you guys about your thoughts about how long that should run and the mechanics behind it. Our remaining project timeline. Introduce the concept. I think Matt or Mike will talk with you about in your last meeting, or at least in the last report, about a temporary application pause. So I want to talk about that and why that's suggested and how that might operate. And then finally, we've got some homework for you. Okay. And as always, if you have any questions, please just shout out. We're happy to answer. Okay. Where are we? So we've conducted our 5th public open house of the project. There's actually been 6 if you count one of the Mills River days, but this is our 5th public open house. We had that on the 10th. We had 60 people, 50 to 60 folks, which was outstanding, just unheard of for a unified development ordinance project. We today conducted our 11th steering committee meeting, and we have completed the in-person meetings with the steering committee. That is a group comprised of your planning board and your board of adjustment members. Outstanding group of people. They have been giving us guidance for the last year. We have also been conducting virtual telephone meetings with them, and we'll be conducting our 7th of the 7 virtual meetings on the 18th of this month. So their participation and input is winding down as we go forward, but just an absolutely outstanding group of people. We really appreciate you informing them and allowing us to work with them. They've been given great feedback, putting in tons and tons of time reviewing this thing. Happily, they are the planning board, and that should help facilitate a speedy planning board review and recommendation as is required under the statute. So good thinking on y'all's part, and it's just been a great experience. We've received all of the town staff comments. There are 9 chapters in your UDO. We've gotten the staff comments on 7 of those. And we are now making revisions to the initial public draft in anticipation of putting it out there for public consumption. We have gone ahead, on the 10th, we made available the zoning district language and the revised version of the use table. So we have at the public open house and on the webpage have shown the 3rd version of the zoning map, which is on the wall behind me. We have released the zoning district information, various zoning districts, their dimensional standards, and we've released draft use table that identifies what are the range of principal use types that are permitted in zoning districts. So moving at great speed. We're getting fairly far along in this. Lots of public comment, lots of participation. It's been wonderful. And the code has really evolved based on the input that we've received. So far so good, right? Okay. These are a couple of slides that we showed at the open house, and I just wanted to just run through these very quickly with you. These are some of the key changes that we've made to the language based on the input that we've collected from the community. Minimum density 4 units an acre across the board. Okay, so that is your maximum density in Mills River. Most lots, most zoning districts have density numbers considerably below 4 units an acre. In fact, most of them are below 1 unit an acre. So it goes a long way towards protecting the rural character that's so important here. All townhouses, multifamily requires a rezoning, a conditional rezoning. Okay, so that there's no by right multifamily anywhere in Mills River. A conditional zoning is a process where there's a concept plan, a review by staff, a review by the planning board, and then a decision by this body. And it's open for negotiation, discussion, and it relies on your legislative discretion. So you've got maximum authority to negotiate, review, and work with applicants to get the best possible development for the town. So that's good. That's a positive step. 2-story maximum building height. New buildings in Mills River are capped at 2 stories. Now there's 2 differential height numbers that are associated with that. For residential structures, 2 stories means 26 feet. Okay. For non-residential structures, 2 stories means 35 feet. And where we measure height is a little bit different, whether it's a flat roof or a pitched roof. But those are the basics for the height numbers. Obviously, this is all engineered to keep building heights low, keep view of the hills and mountains visible. And I'll also mention to you that for those buildings that are located at or above 2,500 feet AMSL, above mean sea level, the height limit is actually 18. Okay. Now, agriculture, super important. Farms are king here in Mills River, and agricultural development is by right everywhere. We have carried forward the bona fide farm exemption. We have broadened the litany of proof that may be tendered to demonstrate bona fide farm status to include the FSA farm number. And so while the statutes identify 5 different ways for somebody to claim a bona fide farm exemption, we've broadened that and are actually recognized 6. So great steps there. Carried forward the family subdivision options. Those remain in place. There is no fee for a family subdivision. If you're in a zoning district that has a minimum lot size greater than 1 acre, your family subdivision lot may be 1 acre in size. If you're in a district that allows smaller lots, then your family subdivision lot can be smaller in accordance with the district size. Okay, so that's been carried forward. We have this existing development, conforming and grandfathered issue. Remember, there's a couple of phrases that we've used up to this point. One is keep what you got. Everybody in town gets to keep the development that they have. As long as it was lawfully established, it can remain. Even if it's non-conforming, it's been granted amnesty. So if you decide to adopt the UDO on the effective date of the UDO, all development in Mills River is authorized to be there and can remain and can be replaced. Even if it burns down or is flooded out or it's stopped, it can be restarted. All right. So that's a major step forward, and it should help everybody be comfortable that this UDO is not going to interfere with your way of life. It's not going to interfere with your investments, and you're able to continue and go forward with what you've got today. Along those lines, we've added the rural mixed use district. The rural mixed district allows or is intended to accommodate folks who move to Mills River to have their house and have their business on the same lot. If somebody has a lot in town where they have those activities happening today, all they need to do is contact staff and verify that they've got mixed use, and they're able to have that rural mixed district if they'd like to have it, and continue that under the new UDO. So, that also is aimed at making sure that people who are here, who came here for specific reasons, aren't pushed out, that we're recognizing the way of life that's here. So I think that's an important step forward for this as well. And then finally, the zoning map correction period. This amount of time that we've incorporated into the process to allow people to come in and talk about some of the zoning district translation provisions. Obviously, we've talked a lot about the UDO, but it's not just the code language. This project also changes the zoning map. There's some fairly dramatic changes to the zoning map. So there's a large part of Mills River that has one particular kind of zoning that is very permissive and lacks a lot of guidance, and frankly, doesn't necessarily reflect the public utility capacity that exists for this community. So it's a good thing to be thinking more carefully about how we're going to do land use here in Mills River, and we believe that the zoning map's a huge step forward, but we're not here to shove this down anybody's throat, and people need an opportunity to understand what's proposed and an opportunity to suggest something else. And that's what this zoning map correction period does. So in a nutshell, what we've really tried to take to heart is protect the rural character. Don't take things away from the people that live here. Keep it flexible, keep it understandable, and give us options. And that's what we think these 8 things, along with the other changes that we've got in the code, do. And that's why they're here.
Can I ask one
Please.
question? So
Absolutely.
back on 6 on the conforming, non-conforming, coming
Yeah.
into conforming.
Mhm.
So if someone's non-conformity that's now all of a sudden conforming burns down, how long do they have to put it back?
Forever.
Forever,
Mhm.
okay. And then but it can't get any bigger.
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay.
It has to stay in footprint.
Okay. So the tiny home village. So how does that work?
Well, those tiny homes get to stay there.
But I'm talking about if they,
If something should happen,
yeah,
they get to, that development gets to be carried forward.
but they just put one back in there the same size that it was.
To be honest with you, I think frankly, the real way to approach the tiny home village, I believe that those are leaseholds. I'm not entirely
They
sure.
are.
And that's really how you guys should focus. You should focus on the number of leaseholds, their general location, how the access works, and maybe not worry so much about the size of the individual
But
units.
is it wrote in there to where staff will have no problem understanding and
Yes,
that's how it'll be?
Mhm.
Okay, that's all I was worried about.
right.
Okay.
That's a great question. And I do think it, whatever we can do to clarify that those existing units, we're not necessarily going to say, oh, well, it has to be this big and it has to have this siding and so forth. I think when we think about a development like that, or frankly, an RV park or something like that, we need to be thinking about build back looks like the leaseholds, looks like the access, looks like the open space. Those things are the things that need to be carried forward. Now, all that to say, depending upon what zoning district that's in, they may be able to do that and more if the zoning district permits it. So, you know, I don't want to discount or
Okay.
lose sight of the fact that, you know, if a use is permitted in a zoning district, you might be able to put more in if the zoning ordinance allows it. So, you know, it's
But
not-
even in a tiny home, they couldn't do more than 4 per acre, correct?
Correct. That is
Okay.
correct. That's the law of the land with
Okay.
respect to our density. Great questions.
Can I ask one
Please.
real quick on 7 and 8?
Yeah.
So if RUM is by request only from
Correct.
the landowner, will that go on forever or just during the correction period?
What a fantastic question. So we are suggesting that the RUM district be incorporated into the UDO, that it be available for request from today, actually from the last few weeks, through the end of the map correction period. One, if you guys choose to have one of those, and two, to the duration of the map correction period, which we're going to talk about in a minute. After that point, the district remains as what we call a legacy zoning district. It's still on the map. It's still in the book. Everybody who has that zoning district designation keeps it, but you cannot expand it. You can't apply it anywhere new after that 1-year term. Now, there's tons of options in the new UDO for conditional zoning. We are incorporating a variety of mixed use styles and other things that can be done through the conventional zoning district, through a conditional zoning district. So there's a lot of options there. But the thinking is that if I get the RUM district, I'll keep the RUM district until the point where I wish to change the RUM district. Now, one more thing I want to just mention. Development that is inside a lot that is in the RUM district is not frozen in time and space. Those buildings can change, can grow, okay? The uses need to remain consistent over time, but the buildings can get larger. New secondary uses can be added. The dimensional standards for the RUM district apply. So there's some limitations on impervious surface. You wouldn't be able to get above that through some kind of post-adoption change unless you got a variance, right? There are side, rear, front setbacks. Those still apply. Okay, so those things are still part of it. And as long as you stay within those parameters, you can continue to add to your lot in the RUM district. But significant changes would require some kind of rezoning. And the likelihood is that you would probably rezone to a conditional zoning district, though you wouldn't have to if you chose not to. You could also rezone to a conventional zoning district. There are plenty of conventional zoning districts that allow mixed use. So you shouldn't have a problem either way there.
Okay, thank you for answering that.
Other questions?
Councilmember Cantrell, I think you also mentioned, you said a question around number 7 and 8. Was there another question?
No, I was saying 7 referred to 8.
Okay.
too. He answered it. Thank you.
Chad, if I may, just real quick, these items, these boards I found were very helpful for the community members at the UDO meeting on Tuesday night. Are they available on the imaginemillsriver.com page, or will they be?
They will be.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, they
Thank you.
absolutely will be. Every board that's ever been produced, every presentation we've ever given, every open house is up on the webpage. That will continue throughout the duration of the project. Okay. Let's talk for a second about the kitchen sink approach. We absolutely understand, and we've heard from many of you, oh my gosh, I had no idea what I was getting into with this thing. There's so much here. So there, you know, why is there so much? It was intentional. We didn't want to limit you. We didn't want to decide what kinds of standards or what kinds of approaches or what aspects we were going to present as possibilities for you. You guys have Making Mills River, you have Go Mills River, you have 2 pieces of policy guidance. Both of those documents set down a variety of policy guidance, goals, and objectives that we followed. Okay, so in looking at those documents, that's how we decided what pieces and parts to add to the draft UDO. We knew that some of it was going to fit. Weren't sure about other parts of it, but we didn't want to be the ones who said, well, we're just not even going to show this to them. They don't need to see this. We'll just move on. And so this kitchen sink approach, why you saw so much in this document was intentional. We wanted you guys to have an opportunity to see what was out there, think about it, and make your own mind up about what belongs and what doesn't. And that's important. So we wanted to be sure that that was, that you understood our rationale for that. And we've gotten great feedback. And I frankly think the document is much more a Mills River document for the input that you guys have given us, that the community's given us. I feel like it's moving in the right direction. We just gave you 8 examples of how that's happening. And it seems to be getting into tight focus in terms of the things that are important here. All that to say, want to be sure to mention that, that the UDO, if you do decide to adopt it, this is a living document. This is going to change. That's normal. It's desirable. For no other reason than the fact that the General Assembly is going to be continuing to change the planning enabling legislation for local governments in the state every year. No matter what, you're going to be making adjustments to deal with what is coming out of Jones Street. That's a promise. Now, there's going to be some other things in this ordinance that work the way that we thought they were going to work and you guys are going to love. There's going to be some things in this ordinance that don't work the way that we thought they were going to work, and we're going to need to be tweaked. And we'll be the first to admit that. Be open to that. That's natural. It's a progression. A lot of local governments establish a schedule. They say at the outset, listen, we know that there's going to be typos, there's going to be punctuation errors, there are going to be things that don't work as intended, and we're going to tweak. And there's what the General Assembly is doing. This is all in flux. This document, it's always going to be adjusted, just like your current regulations, right? Let's set up a schedule. A lot of places do it quarterly. And if you've got amendments, great. Process those on the schedule. If you don't have any amendments that quarter, great. It's an early meeting. You don't have to deal with that quarter. So that would be our advice. And our suggestion to you is recognize that this document should change, probably will change. And for the first year and a half, you should plan on that. And, if you have a lot of people in the community who are concerned about what's in the draft UDO, you've got a process to address those concerns. It's built in. And that's something that you can to say to folks to help them feel better about the fact that, this isn't it forever. We're going to give this a shot and test it out and see how it works. I really, really do encourage you guys not to just, get this thing adopted and then, get the scissors out and then start to chop it up. I encourage you to try to work with it for a few months. See how it works, see what you like, see what you don't like. Don't be afraid to get rid of it, but you don't need to do that all on the first day. See how the light works with the document before you decide to make some changes to it. That would be my suggestion. At the end of the day, it's y'all's ordinance. Y'all will do what you want to with it, but give it a chance to work or not work, and understand it before you go in and start moving the levers on it.
But in saying that, Chad, there's a lot of things in there that we could make less restrictive, but not more restrictive.
That's correct.
This is the one chance to make it the most restricted, correct?
That you are absolutely correct.
We can lessen it down the road, but we can't, right now, we couldn't tighten up on anything or make lot sizes any bigger.
Generally speaking, and I would love to say, yeah, it's just that easy. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more complicated than that. The statutes say you're not able to lower densities.
Right.
Okay. The statutes say you're not able to reduce the range of allowable uses. The statutes say you're not able to create nonconformities. Okay. So changes to landscaping or signage or parking or design provisions, those are the things that often render nonconformities. But here's the strange and interesting part that makes it all so wonderful. The statutory language that came out of the General Assembly allows local governments to render nonconformities on residential lots without having to get consent. So you can make changes to multifamily. You can make changes to residential zoning districts as long as you don't lower densities, or reduce the range of allowable uses, you can make changes to those development standards in the residential districts and not have to worry about consent. Finally, we talk a lot about the notion that we're not able to change the ordinance at all, or make it more restrictive after, this is sort of our window. In some ways that's true. In other ways, it's not exactly true, and here's why. You can make your ordinance more restrictive. You can lower densities. You can reduce the range of allowable uses, but to do so, you must get consent first. That's the hard part. That's the difficult piece to this. Imagine trying to get everybody in Mills River who has, general business zoning to agree. Difficult, nigh impossible. And so effectively, yes, impossible to change, but theoretically allowable if you can get consent.
Now I'm waiting.
I just had two quick questions for you, Chad, as well. The mayor mentioned, talking about the most restrictive currently. Would it be right to say that, yes, there's conversations about being restrictive because of downzoning, while focusing heavily on the comprehensive plan and making sure that those restrictions still align with the direction and the policy guidance of those documents? Okay.
Absolutely. We took our cues from two sources. One is your adopted policy guidance, and two is some direction that we got from the community. And making Mills River is very clear about protecting rural character, protecting the environment, getting the zoning map in alignment with the comprehensive plan, future land use map, comprehensive plan. And so those were our guiding lights. As we continue to talk with you guys, you guys have tempered us and directed us and given us more clarity, more detail. And that's how we're able to see some of the other things that we've got. But Mirgans, you're absolutely right. As a practical matter, this is kind of your chance. This is kind of your chance. You can make it easier in the future, and it's easy. You don't have to worry about getting consent.
Right.
After June 30, not so.
Chad, my second question real quick as well, and I appreciate that response. You mentioned the local governments establishing the schedule of amendments. Can you give us a little bit of guidance on what you've seen from those other local governments? Are we talking about, 2 quarters, a year, 2 years, quarterly updates, just to help set that expectation?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. And it really does vary quite a bit. So I'll give you the horror story first. Okay. So in 2019, the city of Burlington adopted their zoning ordinance. Okay. In 2020, there was a complete change of council. Okay. And the new council said, get this thing out of here. This is terrible. We don't want this. Make it go away. And the staff said, well, you guys spent, however much money that you spent on this. Staff's worked on this for 2 years. It'll take us another 2 years. We don't want to go back to the old ordinance. Let's work on it. Okay. So we just completed our 17th amendment to the Burlington UDO since 2019. Okay. Now I'll pick another example. I'll pick one that Karen knows well. She does work for this town as a consultant. And that's Clayton. So Clayton adopted their ordinance and knew that they wanted to be on a quarterly amendment cycle. Okay, that was their goal, was for the first year, we're going to set up a quarterly amendment cycle. The first year of adoption, we made it through 3. We're now down to 2 a year, and we'll probably go to 1 a year. As you work through these, you get the issues addressed. Staff gets familiar with the ordinance. The development community gets familiar with the ordinance, and you begin to understand how it all works. And the need for constant amendment slows, right? Because you've made some adjustments, everybody's learned, and you begin to operate with it. So I would fully expect that kind of experience here in Mills River. You might start your first year with 3 rounds of amendments, and 1 or 2 of them might be fairly substantial. Into your second year, you might step back a little bit and only do 2 or only do 1. Keep in mind that the wild card here is the General Assembly. In 2019, the General Assembly did 160D, a complete rewrite of the planning enabling statutes, and all local governments in the state had massive changes to deal with as part of their amendment process. You guys too. And so that could always happen, you know, in 2027 or 2028, we could see some new sea change out of Jones Street and have to deal with that and incorporate that into this document. But, you know, yeah, you're probably looking, I would say 4 changes, 5 changes, and this thing will probably be about where you, that would be my guess.
Yeah, my biggest fear is we're just having to hustle through this. And we're not able to spend a lot of time on each section and dial it in while we're going.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear.
Well, you've got a very experienced staff.
Mhm.
We've had steering committee. This steering committee has developers, real estate agents, you know, we've got planners on this thing. And, you know, it's been good feedback, good input. Karen and I are pretty comfortable. You know, this is the 30th UDO that I've drafted in my career. So, you know, we've done this a little. There's always stuff to learn. And Mills River has certainly taught us a lot. But pretty confident that, you know, certainly this document's legal. Certainly this document will work for you. Are you going to change some things? Yeah, and that's natural. What are those things? We won't know till we get started.
Gotcha.
But I just want to set the expectation that it's not uncommon for local governments to amend these things. That's not, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. It's not a set it and forget it kind of a thing. It's a living document.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to clarify for everybody that this is out there now. It's on the webpage. It's on the wall. Staff can walk you through it. This is the decision-making tree that we used to go from the map on the left-hand side of the screen to the map on the right-hand side of the screen. The first column on the big table on the right of the screen is the current zoning districts, okay, in the gray. There's 5 of them. When we sat down to work on translating the map from what you have today to what's proposed on the draft zoning map, we looked at 3 things. We looked at lot size, we looked at current use, and we looked at location. And those come together in different ways, right? Based on the 5 zoning districts that you have, there's a litany of different lot sizes. There's a litany of different use types. And then obviously there's always the locational aspect, whether you're in the floodplain, you're not in the floodplain, whether you're close to the highway or not close to the highway, etc. Those things, as they came together, gave us guidance for the suggestions that we made for the teal colored column, the draft zoning districts on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, that was the starting point. This was our methodology. And we use this to have an objective way to think about going from what you have today to what you might have in the future. This has been open for, again, I mentioned, this is our 3rd version of the zoning map. So we've been working on this for quite some time. Mike, we have had several meetings with people from the community who have come in and said, I don't understand why I got this. Help me understand why I got this zoning district designation. You know, missed this point or, you know, didn't have that information or whatever. And, you know, the staff has changed the zoning map in many instances, the draft zoning map, based on the conditions on the ground or some other issue, you know, that might be at play. Now, this process of going from current zoning map to new zoning map, this is not a science, it's an art. It's an art. And what that means is it's not common to find a hard and fast methodology. In fact, I'll divulge to you that we've never done this before. We've always used the art form, right? Well, this was that, and that's that, and here's the use, and that's what the plan says, and so this is what we'll do. We've never approached this as carefully and methodically as we did in Mills River with that table. And we feel very comfortable that the decisions that are made for your draft zoning map are defensible, they're rational, they're objective. And just in case, we've opened up this discussion process with the community before the adoption part has even started. And that's why we're suggesting this correction period afterwards to make sure that everybody has a chance to understand, what do you got? Why do we make this change? What are my options? Very, very important for us. And so I just wanted to be sure that that everyone was aware that it wasn't just, you know, let's throw darts at the wall exercise.
question about that.
Yes, sir.
So, and some of the feedback that people have, said is that, if their land, let's say, was MRMU, and obviously we have the new categories over there to the right,
Yes.
and then they see the new maps and they're like, well, I want to request that my land be light industrial. That's not exactly the same zoning district that it was in before. So that's not really an adjustment to the map.
Right.
That should fall more under of rezoning request.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
And thank you for asking that question. In North Carolina, the zoning map is part of the UDO, and a UDO is an ordinance. Okay. And state law says in North Carolina that ordinances should only be decided after public notice, public hearing, and zoning map changes are to be decided by the duly elected body, the legislative representatives of the community. A change of the nature that you were talking about, I was MU, I'd like to be light industrial. That's an upzoning. That's a significant change in the amount of development potential, right? If that's not supported by the future land use map or the existing land uses that are out on the site or the availability of utilities or the location, then, that's a big ask. That's a big change. One that warrants discretion, legislative discretion through the process in the transparency of the public hearing kind of gestalt. And so one of the things that we decided early on and have stuck to is, this is not an opportunity to upzone. There should be an opportunity for people to come in and plead their case to you about why industrial might make sense or why business, why a GLC district might be appropriate. That should exist. And we've tried to build that into this process for you so that those folks have that opportunity to make their case. That's fair, right? And to do so without having to pay a fee. And to do so, in as quick a manner as possible. So that's in there as well. There's always, even upon the date of adoption, there's always the opportunity for anybody to bring a zoning map amendment application, just like happens today. So that process is always there as well. Thank you for your question.
How many people have come forward to participate with that?
I'm gonna look to staff for the number of meetings.
Councilmember Good, if you'd like, we can get you that answer here in just a few minutes if there's another question.
No.
I can press on, we'll come back and get it.
Okay, well, I've got another question too. When we met the other day, we discussed that some property was changed without people requesting it. And how did you go and come to that conclusion?
In that instance, that particular piece of property was under common ownership, and the GIS application that we apply, because remember, there's 7,000 some parcels here in Mills River. There wasn't, some little guy with little glasses like me in the back room coloring over the map. We go through a computer process with a set of algorithms that we assign.
Mm-hmm.
One of the algorithms said, look for common ownership. Okay, so in the instance that we were talking about, there was a car dealership on 280, and there happened to be a piece of property behind it that was vacant. That piece of property was under the same ownership. Okay, the vacant property to the rear was zoned residential. Property to the front was zoned GB, and both pieces of property got a GLC corresponding change to the GB district based on the ownership, and that all happened in the circuitry of the GIS application. And that's the explanation for that. There's probably some other instances where GIS did something based on some condition, and nothing's perfect. And that's why we have this period of time for people to talk to staff. That's why we've added this map correction process to try to address those situations where the technology has failed us, the methodology didn't work. There's some other, extenuating factor that we, just couldn't anticipate. So, that's the best answer that I can give.
I just want everybody to hear why some things happen.
Right. It does happen. This is still, this isn't science in many ways. It's still an art form.
So the changes throughout the various iterations of the proposed zoning map, pretty much, or if someone comes and asks for it, or we're refining the methodology and sometimes there's a change in that between.
Sometimes people have come forward and said,
Mhm.
gosh, why did I get this? This is what's happening. This doesn't make any sense. And we're like, you're right. That doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
And we change it. Sometimes people come and they say, well, I'd really like to have industrial. And we say, that's an upzoning. There's an opportunity for you to make that request.
Right.
That's not something that staff is going to decide by themselves because the statutes want those kinds of upzoning decisions to be done in the public process by the elected officials.
Are each of the iterations of that map still available?
Absolutely.
1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Cool. 36.
Just for the record, since, for the microphone, it's, Mr. Malachek said 36, requests.
Thus far.
That's at 7,000 parts.
Correct. Correct. Right, and these will continue, for, until the document's adopted and then perhaps afterwards as well. Those requests that come after adoption, should you choose to adopt, will go through the correction period process. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about this correction period that I keep talking about. So again, an opportunity for landowners to request change to their town designated zoning district. Because maybe there's something we didn't understand. Maybe there's some extenuating circumstance. This starts upon adoption of the UDO, should you choose to adopt it. It would run for 12 months. There's a great big red question mark. Do you feel okay about 12 months? Would you like it to be 9 months? What is your spidey sense here? Generally speaking, it takes about 3 months for a property to get through the process from staff review through planning board, council. Okay, you can shave a little bit of time off of that, but 3 months. If you had a 12-month process, you could get 3 or 4 if you push, but probably 3 batches of requests through. We would anticipate that you would batch these things, that people would come in and you might deal with 10 properties or 12 properties in a batch. You'll need to hear from staff on each and every one. Planning board will have to hear, make a recommendation on each and every one, and then you'll need to make a decision. The requests are free. There's no fee for making a correction request. There's a couple of caveats. You cannot request a conditional zoning district through the correction period. That requires a concept plan. That requires a public process. Applicants have to sign papers. There's other stuff involved with that. And frankly, that is a discretionary kind of a process. There should be negotiation and give and take through the conditional zoning effort. So we barred requests for conditional zoning during the correction period. You always file a zoning map amendment request after adoption if the code is adopted day 1 if you wish. So it's not like you have to wait for this correction period to run to request a conditional zoning. You can request it right away. It's just handled through the map amendment process instead of the correction period. That make sense? One other caveat. Water supply watershed designation is assigned by the state. We cannot change it. And so if somebody wanted to come forward and request changes to the water supply watershed of the zoning district, the flood zone, that's not something that should be entertained either. Okay. We have suggested, one, if you agree that 12 months is sufficient, adequate, appropriate, we would suggest to you that March 27, 2027 be the deadline for filing a correction request. Assumedly, you could file before March 27. You would need to file by March 27 if you want to be done by July 1st, 2027. Again, 3-month window. So that is the zoning correction period. Do you guys have any thoughts about this? Any suggestions for us regarding time frame? Is a year enough? Would you like more? Would you like less?
I have a question about, so in the case where you mentioned where you saw something that didn't make sense on the map,
Mhm.
those are handled before this, or Is that being handled by staff before it gets to
That's
this?
being handled now.
Okay,
Anybody who wants to can come in and talk to staff at any time. And we've made the office hours available. I'm not sure how many different office hours settings. We've done probably 12, quite a few. And we've had a lot of people come in. That will continue, right, up until, you know, the UDO is advertised for public hearing. At which point we need to stop. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this sort of stop point, pause for applications in a minute, why we suggest that be done. But up until that point, you can certainly come in and talk to staff and make your case and either get your request met, get your request partially met, or be told, you know, you're going to need to bother in the correction period. We'll have to handle that with the other ones that need sort of public scrutiny.
so these are more or less cases that are, I'm going to use this phrase, it's more outside of what staff would feel comfortable making that change. It's more of a larger shift
That's right.
in a request.
That's right. It's an upzoning request.
Okay,
It's not based on some sort of error or some
Right.
sort of lack of data.
Okay.
Those are the ones that belong here. I don't think the intention is to say no or give
Right.
these people a hard time. We just want to follow the statutes with respect to what's the appropriate level of discretion for staff to exercise in these instances.
gotcha.
In the ones that y'all have seen, how many have been able to be changed or helped?
I'm gonna look back at staff for that. Mr. Kintrow, did you have a question while?
I do.
while I put it up?
So during this correction period, could you still conditionally rezone under normal circumstances?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
It just wouldn't fall under this. You'd need to pay the fee and
Yeah,
and do the.
That's right. You go through the
the
mapping
other stuff.
process.
Okay.
Exactly. That's correct. And that's available to you essentially upon adoption of the UDO, that the utilization of that process is open to you immediately.
On your 29 other of these, how long is, or what's the norm? Is 12 months normal?
Well, this is sort of a unique thing. I don't know that there's been many people who've done a correction period. Feels like a month is, I mean, a year's about right. You got 3 shots at this. You know, I think one of the interesting questions that we haven't answered yet that may come up, may not come up is how many chances do I get? Can I come each time? And that,
Can you appeal?
you know, we don't know about that yet, but, you know, you've got a year, you can easily handle 3 batches of these, maybe 4 if you push. You guys can always extend this. This isn't set in stone. You know, this is more of a policy matter than it is ordinance matter. So if you got into this and you were getting a lot of interest and you were seeing that there were a lot of folks who were making good cases for this and you wanted to continue, you could do that. You know, that's always something that you could do if you wish. There's no limitation on it.
Chad, one point of clarification. If someone wishes to go through this process, right, the corrections process.
Yes.
And that upzoning opportunity, right? But talk about what would happen if somebody came in and said, wait a second, you've zoned me as industrial and I want to be one of the residential uses.
Mhm.
And so I actually want to be downzoned during the corrections period. Talk about what that would look like through the corrections period as well.
It would be identical, except that their request would be to lower the development potential. Now, just like, I'm gonna step outside of the trappings of the zoning correction period, which commences upon UDO adoption. We're in this kind of informal staff request phase right now. If somebody were to come forward and say, look, you guys are giving me industrial, I want to be RPV, I want to be low density residential. Staff's going to go back and look at the future land use map. And if their piece of property is smack dab in the middle of a large area that's supposed to be industrial according to the future land use map, then the likelihood that staff's going to approve that, even though it's a downzoning, is limited. They're going to say, wait a minute, you're asking me to exercise my judgment, my discretion in favor of the legislative discretion of the elected officials. We're going to suggest that you go through the correction period. So the sword cuts both ways. It's not just an upzoning question. It's also a downzoning question. And it turns on what's the plum, what's the use, what's the size. And so we really did try to be objective. It's,
And so just for council and for those listening, that if someone does wish to come through, and request a downzoning, that does meet the requirement of, by the state legislature, because that property owner is coming in and saying,
they are
you have my
absolutely
permission
right.
to downzone this property
Yes.
if you so approve of it.
That's
So I just want to make sure that that is still being checked, that box is still being checked
Absolutely.
after July 1st.
Absolutely, it is. The act of submitting the application to go to the lower development potential district is tantamount to consent.
Mhm.
You will see soon, application forms that contemplate built-in consent features in certain conditional rezoning applications. For example, if somebody requests a conditional zoning district designation, but fails to make progress on the request, okay, for 2 years or 3 years or whatever the case may be, we are going to include in the application form an opportunity, a place for them to sign consenting to town's authority to go in and revert that conditional zoning district back to what was there before, if you don't act within a specified time frame. It's usually 2 or 3 years. So we're trying to stop speculative conditional zoning, right? The conditional zoning process allows us to incorporate those kinds of pre-consent kind of aspects. And you'll see more of those once you get into the application forms and into this process. The conditional zoning apparatus is going to be much more effective for you as a community when we start contemplating some of the contours of the downzoning kind of environment that we're in right now. I posit to you that in a few years, you probably won't see very many conventional rezonings. That most of your rezonings within the next few years are going to be conditional, and it'll be very rare to see a conventional zoning district. And that's probably true. It's certainly the case in other parts of North Carolina.
Real quick, 25 out of 36 requests were offered, so about 70%.
That's good.
So, yes, so 25 out of 36.
So, a year, feel about right?
I think a year's good.
I think a year's good, but if we have an excess, as long as they start within that year, carry it over, we need it.
Sure.
Sure.
Again, policy. It's not. It's
There
not
may
hard
be
to
a
ask.
bunch, there may not be a bunch.
As you're thinking through policy, I think one of the questions you may end up asking yourselves is, do we say, oh, you can only come through this free once? I don't know. I'll figure that out. I'm not sure what to expect in that regard.
Right.
I would say the only parcel the first time when you're first doing it. I mean, if you're gonna come do it repeatedly, would that be different?
I kind of agree with that. I mean, you get one shot for
Mhm.
free if you want to appeal it. Because the way I look at it is you could potentially be taking a spot away from somebody who
No,
hasn't got to go yet.
The only thing you're gonna have to think about, guys, is you're gonna go through a potential council change.
Hmm.
You're gonna have some of these get looked at potentially before December, and then probably 2 looks after December.
Maybe.
I'm just being honest. So you
That-
have different people in these seats. They might see it totally different. I'm just being honest.
But I don't think
That's just-
he's a property in River, $750. I mean, come on.
For what it's worth, and again, this is, in the larger urban contexts, a $3,000, $3,500 application fee for conditional rezoning is not uncommon.
Right.
Okay.
Just before we move on, just for clarification for Chad moving forward and for council, I mean, and for staff, what I heard was a 1 year, start at 1 year. There's the potential for extending it if need be, with the first round being free for anyone, and then on appeal, a second, third, fourth, whatever those rounds are, would be with the normal rezoning fee associated with
Well,
it.
I wasn't thinking about appeal. I'm thinking about if they come back and want to change it to something else.
So what I would suggest is, if you want to bring the same piece of property, you need to go through the zoning amendment process, not the correction period.
Right.
Right. If you've got a separate piece of property that you would like to bring, that might be through the correction process, but same piece of property, different request, that's a zoning map. That's fair.
Is that comfortable with council?
So 12 months, applications due the last March 31st.
I would recommend, would March 1st.
Maybe March 1st.
I think March 1st. I think we would want the entire month of March.
Okay. Well,
And then
I'm
it could be, a landowner is one, so, but one landowner can own multiple
Yes,
parcels.
correct. Right.
And do them all as one, or
Right. I'm not
whatever
sure
that case is.
I mean, maybe that would happen, but, I think that you should be open-ended, open in terms of,
Yeah.
how you process that. If you've got one landowner and they've got 10 parcels that they'd like to see changed, maybe you handle that as one, maybe,
I would look at it as a parcel is
You're
a
I would
request.
say
Mhm.
each
Yeah.
parcel.
you might have to, because if they're not connected, especially.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
that sounds fair.
Right.
Good information for us. Okay. This is a slide that was shown at the open house. I'm not gonna, there's a lot of information up here. This is from, Tuesday of this week to 25th of June. Okay, so this is all of the major milestones that are left in the process between now and adoption. On the 23rd, we have asked the steering committee, 23rd of March, the steering committee to give us their final comments. We've asked this body for your final comments on the 26th of March. We asked for this temporary application pause to commence on April 1st. I'd like to come back to that. I'd like to press through the timeline and then come back to the temporary pause. Okay. This is also policy, open for discussion. We want to share some thoughts and then get y'all's perspective about what you think about this. Okay. So I want to go back to the temporary application pause. Regardless of whether or not you pause applications or not, on April 6th, we will reveal the public review draft Unified Development Ordinance to the public. Okay, April 6th is when we intend to post it on the project website. Now, I've added some information down at the bottom of the screen. Our objective is to release a good part of the UDO before April 6th. On March 20th, it's our intention to release chapters 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9. That leaves chapters 2 and 6, which would be released with the, re-released on the 6th of April. Okay, so people will have access to the vast majority of the code March 20th. Okay. We're still collecting comments. It's just the initial version. There's still plenty of opportunity. In fact, we've asked the public to make comments, and on the 21st of April, staff will conduct a public open house in this room from 3 to 8 p.m. for people to come in, ask questions, provide comments directly to staff. We still have the project webpage. You can still email staff. You can still email on the webpage. There's plenty of opportunity for people to ask questions, make suggestions, or change from March 20th up until May 2nd. May 2nd is, say, that would be our deadline for providing public comment on the draft material. People will still have an opportunity to come to the public hearings, to come to the planning board consideration, to come to this body's consideration, share their views, share their thoughts, ask questions, make suggestions. None of that has changed. That's all still there. This is just an opportunity for people to share their views about the draft document. On the 4th of May, we will post what we're calling the adoption draft version of the document. The adoption draft version is the version of the map and code that we'd like to carry through the adoption process. Okay. That text and the map is fixed. We don't want to change it anymore until after the adoption process. We will track changes. We will track comments. That summary information about changes rides along with these documents through planning board consideration, through council consideration. But we don't want to change the text. We don't want to change the map because we don't want to confuse people. Okay? So what gets put out there for the community on the 4th of May will be the document that rolls through the process, supplemented with or by whatever additional recommendations and comments we receive from planning board and this body as we go forward through May and June. Okay, does that make sense?
Question.
Please.
So let's just say that we get the final draft in May and there's just one item that is absolutely glaringly has to be changed. When we adopt the UDO, we can adopt it with that modification at that time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Changes can be made up until the motion.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And one seed that I'll plant for you, in you know, your pro tip here, not that you need it. If there's a particular code section that is causing you great consternation, if there's a jagged pill that just can't go down, pull it out of the ordinance. Just take it out and deal with it later. Okay, you do have the issue that you mentioned about, gosh, if it's, you know, maybe some of these genies we can't put back in the bottle, but if there are aspects that are becoming very problematic for your community, you don't have to, given our time frame, right? We have until the 30th of June to do this. If there's something that is a hill that's just too much to climb, just okay. That's always open to you. We'll be here. We'll be keeping notes. We anticipate you making changes on the 11th of June, on the 25th of June. That's typical. So that would happen. And that's, you know, supposed to happen. So that's part of the process. And I just wanted to plant for you the seed that, you know, if you feel like there's a deal killer here, you know, there's another option for you. All right.
Chad, just, I'm a visual learner, so I just, and for those like me, listening, essentially what you're saying is that the document is going to be released. Itself.
Mhm.
There are no new drafts of that document that are going to be coming out through the process. There's going to be essentially a piece of paper or multiple pieces of paper where the track changes through that are going to be literally tracked on a piece of paper.
Mhm.
And so then if council wishes to adopt, it would be the document with essentially a
That's
piece of
right.
paper laying on top of it with those changes.
Right. We call that an errata document. It's basically errors and changes that need to be made as part of the document. And we will ask you in your motion, if you decide to adopt UDO, to adopt the errata with the document and the map. And that language would be red line text, how it will look in the ordinance. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is our thumbnail sketch of how we'd like to go. Good? Comfortable? Great, great. Let's talk about this temporary pause thing. Okay. So the zoning map, the UDO, these are text and map amendments. You guys process these all the time, right? You guys have text amendments that you've done before, right? The flood was a text amendment. You do zoning map changes all the time. Map, somebody wants to change zoning district. That's very common. What we don't want to do is find ourselves in a place where there are multiple competing applications for zoning text, for zoning map designation, going through the process at the same time. Okay. Which one is the one that's going to win? I don't understand. I'm confused. We want to avoid confusing the public about this. That is a best practice. We strongly recommend that you not have a situation where you have multiple concurrent map or text amendments rolling through the process at the same time. That's never a good situation. It's a recipe for problems. How most places handle that is they put a temporary pause on processing of applications for map amendments and text amendments. Okay. The phrase that's often used is called abeyance, but it's a temporary pause. We take the application, you may submit the application. Okay. If you do submit the application, you are able to go forward under the current zoning ordinance. So you're not stuck with a new ordinance unless you like to go forward under the new ordinance, in which case that's great. We're happy to accommodate that. So you're protecting your rights to go forward under the prior ordinance by filing the application. We're just not going to process it. Okay, it will sit in abeyance until after the UDO is adopted, frankly, probably till August 1st, at which time it'll be picked up, processed. Okay. So it's a temporary pause on processing. I can still submit, no problem. We're just not going to act on it because we don't want to have multiple amendments going through the process for one piece of property or one set of text at one time. Okay.
Chad, the only heartburn I got with that is we're basically giving these people less than a month and to get these in.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I don't know,
Let
I
me
don't
explain
feel
why
good
the
about
401
that.
was picked, and we
Okay.
can talk about that.
Okay.
None of this stuff is in stone. This is all policy. 401 was picked because of something I said earlier, which is it takes about 3 months to get through the process, right? From start to finish, staff review, planning board, to you guys, all of that stuff. And so that's why 401 was selected as the potential date.
And if I understood what you said, they can still apply. They can apply under today's zoning.
Yes.
So they can apply right up till July 1st
Yes.
under today's zoning.
Correct.
It's just that we're not going to try to process it.
Right.
And so then when we start processing it, starting say August 1st to give everything a chance to settle in, they're under today's zoning,
That's right. Not the new, the old. That's correct.
under today's zoning. So we can't really say you can't submit, whether we can or not, I guess is a legal question, but we're not trying to say that
Correct.
based on what you're proposing.
Absolutely right. We will happily accept your application
Under today's zoning,
under today's rules.
we're
But
just not going to
how-
process it.
But how would that affect any of the building process? Cause we're coming on spring of the year, summer,
I don't know. I mean,
is it free? Michael's coming up. Let's see what we got here.
I think there's some confusion with normal zoning permits. Those are still gonna be processed by
Sure.
staff. It's just the rezonings and the text amendments to our existing code. So if someone wants to submit a development permit, staff will still process that and work on it. It's just the map amendments and text amendments. Those, we'll take them in, make sure it's a complete application, make sure it's paid, and just set it aside, because I mean, we'll do some processing at the beginning. It's the avoiding the concurrent hearings. Like, you don't want to deal with a conditional zoning for a multifamily development at the same time we're adopting the UDO. That's what we're trying to avoid. But normal zoning permits for anything just rolls on like normal.
Okay. Even if it might be in conflict with what's coming,
yes.
Oh, yeah,
there, you roll right
You
on
get to go
through.
under the-
and we're telling people that, yeah.
Okay, so April 1st only,
Just for zoning, rezonings and text amendments. Any normal zoning permit,
body in the mixed use.
Yep.
Which is our majority, can come in and say, hey, I'm gonna throw this building up right here.
Yeah.
And they got it all the way up till this
Yes.
is adopted.
That's correct.
correct,
No questions
To
asked.
submit,
Yeah.
to submit.
That's what the
But
law says.
submit or to
And then
build.
they are,
But see, if you can't build.
well, if
that-
it's under mixed use, they're not asking for a rezoning.
Uh,
Only if they're
Okay,
or to change your use, or to
Okay.
add a new use, go ahead and do that, and, you know, Kevin and I are gonna process that
Okay.
and work on it up till July 1.
I got you. Okay,
It's just the rezonings, just the text amendments,
okay,
that we pause the hearings.
okay.
Right, and that's just done to stop the confusion. Okay, this isn't we're shutting down the planning department, not gonna do any more applications. That's not it at all. We're just trying to stop those things that would cause confusion through the adoption of a new code and a new map. And
Okay.
that's text amendments and map amendments. Okay? And it's not that we're not even taking them, we're taking them. You know, I'm not sure that a text amendment's gonna be that relevant after July 1st, because it'd be a whole new text, but we don't wanna say you can't submit. You wanna submit, submit.
would the abeyance need a resolution?
think that's a bad idea. I don't think that's a bad idea, but I'll defer to your legal counsel on that. question.
So will we.
Oh,
So
you're the-
I'm
he's
just
the first
thinking
question.
of, 160,
That means
when
they
you
gotta pay.
consider 143,755, which talks about. When you consider 143,755, which talks about the permit choice, you submit, like Jeff, you were saying, if you submit it, you get to choose, and I think Chad was saying it, you get to choose whether you want to go forward under the zoning ordinance that existed at the time your application was submitted, or if this is adopted in July, you may say, I like the July regulations better. I want my application to be processed under the new ordinance. And so if you are saying, look, all we're gonna do is we're gonna accept your application, make sure it's a complete application, which the law, there's a couple of cases out there. It has to be a complete application. If you have a complete application, I mean, Chad says, yeah, maybe a resolution it wouldn't hurt to have a resolution. I don't think that the law of North Carolina would require you to have one, but it would certainly put the public on notice that
Okay.
we're accepting your application. If it's a complete application, we're gonna process it under the ordinance that existed at the time you made your application. It's just gonna take a little bit longer because we're holding that in abeyance. So it's not to, like Mike was saying, to compete with all of these other changes that are running up into the UDO. So you don't want to have a public hearing on a map amendment or a text
Mhm.
amendment that you're like, wait, are we dealing with this one at this time, or are we dealing with the new UDO adoption? So I don't think that I don't think that the law is going to require you to adopt a resolution, but if you do, it certainly would put the public on notice that that's what your intent is.
And again, that's just for rezoning,
And
If you
that's
want-
for text amendment. and
text amendment or rezoning.
Yes.
We're just not going to deal with those until we get the UDO in place, assuming we do, and it settles down, and then we'll deal with those.
Yeah, we're gonna take them, we're gonna.
Right,
process
right.
Whatever Mike does to make sure that it checks all the boxes. What he's not gonna do is review it and then put it on the planning board calendar.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yes.
may I ask one last thing? If we do a resolution, does that have to come for a public hearing? Or is that something we can just, next
You
meeting,
can-
we should probably notice it? Or if we do a resolution, or
It'll be on your
vote
agenda.
tonight.
You would put it, I'm sorry, Matt, you could say, you're gonna put it on your agenda that you're gonna have this resolution. It's gonna be attached into your packet. Everyone's
Yeah.
gonna see it. The council hereby resolves to, whereas we're doing this, whereas we understand 143,755 permanent choice, we hereby resolve to accept applications up until all the way through those applications that are received from April 1st to the date that you're going to consider adoption of the new UDO won't be set for the hearing with the planning board and or public hearing from the council until August.
And just for a little further information as well, our goal is to be as transparent about these deadlines as possible. So yes, we're going to be going through that process, and we're also going to be pushing it out through every other communication channel as well. Our goal is to make sure that if people that people understand, that the community understands what this is, what this pause would look like, and as much time as possible to make a decision that's right for them.
Okay.
makes sense?
Yeah.
Would just a consensus tonight be okay to get it
Oh, yeah, draft it up.
fair? Everyone fair?
We're at it.
One more thing I'll just spend a minute on, because this is still in the thought process for us. Okay, so we're looking at calendars, thinking about things. One of the things that is in the backs of our minds is, hopefully you guys will adopt this ordinance, and hopefully you'll do that on the 25th or before the 30th is our sincere hope. What we're thinking through is this. This document has approximately 35 procedures in it, okay? Different kinds of development review procedures. Some are new, You don't have application forms for these yet. You don't have fees for these yet. Now, we're trying to make sure that you've got a fee schedule in place, right? Because when you get this thing adopted, sometimes some places delay the effective date to give the community a little bit of time to, at least get the finished version and get the application forms and get the fee schedule in line. Y'all don't have that luxury. You don't have that luxury. So we're trying to think through, how do we manage that first couple of days after the ordinance is adopted? Depending upon the day that you adopt the ordinance, let's just say for the sake of argument, for the sake of discussion, that you do decide to adopt the ordinance on the 25th of June. As I understand it, your new fee schedule will not take effect until 7/1. Is that correct?
Yeah, the new fee schedule would go into effect with the budget, so July 1st.
So you have 4 days from June 26th to 7/1 where you don't have a fee for application forms that would need to be submitted. So I just want to plant the seed in the back of your mind that there may be a couple of days after the UDO is adopted where we can't yet process an application. We've got the UDO, it's in place, we met the state standard. It is not our intention to draw this out. At the same time, we want to be sure that the fee schedule is in place. We want to be sure that we've got the application forms. If this body makes changes to the document upon adoption, which you may do, Karen and I have to go home and make the changes and get the document back to staff. That's not going to be instantaneous either. We need a day to do that. So just want to put out for you guys that it's still going to take us a day or two to be able to begin to operate with this ordinance. Staff's already on it. Staff's already, working on the new fee schedule. They're already working on the application forms. We talked about this errata thing so that that's built for us to quickly go in and change the rules as they finally get adopted. But, I just want to be sure that everybody understands, 8 a.m. on 6/26 doesn't mean we're going to, okay, here we go. We're ready for the UDO. We're going to need a couple of days. Okay.
Couldn't we adopt with a, effective date of, can it even be that July 1 at midnight? Or do we gotta go to the June 30th at 11:30 p.m. or can we delay it that way to keep from any hardships happening?
It's possible for us to talk. Let's talk with, town's council.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what our options are. We want to have a very bright line.
Okay.
We want to hit the deadline, as it's been indicated for us.
Cause what I'm sitting here thinking is all this other stuff, the fee schedule and all this is gonna have to be voted on by motion
Understood.
at least the 6/25 meeting unless we have a special call meeting on the 30th.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I have 2 questions for you guys tonight. And the first one of those was, what about this map correction period? The second one deals with our timing. Okay. We flagged for you discussion of the UDO on 6/11 and 6/25. Guess what else is happening that nights? Your budget. So, how do you feel about having budget meetings and having UDO consideration on both of your June regular meetings? Should we think about some special meetings for one or the other, or would you like to continue to have them together? I'd rather have a special meeting.
I'm good with special meetings.
We'll come up with some options.
Yeah, so my recommendation is that we would move the UDO to the special meeting, keep the budget on the current timeline as of right now with the 11th and 25th. Just so that we can, if we need to move the UDO meeting, then we can go ahead and start getting that out there to the public and with plenty of notice.
Well, let me ask you this. So what's a reasonability that you're gonna have this budget ready for us to look at on 6/11?
It will be ready for you for consideration on 6/11. We have the budget schedule has, the public hearing and potential adoption on 6/11 with 6/25 being a backup date.
So me personally, I think we should have that in there, at least our first UDO discussion on that same night. And then if we was to get through the budget that night, then we're probably okay on 6/25. But if for some reason we can't, or we find any kind of, we'd still have time to advertise to get another one squeezed in somewhere, I would think, as long as it's,
So
well, I guess.
if you advertise your hearing for the UDO on the 11th of June, and you open that hearing, and then you close it, continue it, sorry, you don't close it, you
Yeah.
continue it, you don't need to worry about re-advertising.
Yeah,
So
okay.
at that point, from a notice standpoint, we're covered,
okay.
okay? So that you could conceivably go to 6/25 or a different date, for, further consideration, and we wouldn't have a notice issue.
My only concern would be,
Mr. Mayor, if I can interrupt, I would like to request to be excused for personal reasons for this, from the rest of the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, go ahead,
Okay, thank you. God bless our troops.
do it.
Especially one of them.
My only concern would be our budget discussion, obviously we can have in this room. The UDO, I think we're gonna have to move to another venue. I mean, very well, we may have to do it at Mills River, so that's been my concern.
If we do that, we'll definitely, because nobody's made contact with the school yet to see if that's even a possibility on either one of these nights, correct?
Not yet. Correct, Mike? We have not reached out yet.
Hey, Chuck said-
Yeah, so we have not reached out to the school system for a separate location if we move the special meeting in
It's
June.
my understanding, and help me out, Patty, if you know, but I think Mills River's actually, school is out. It might be a little difficult to get in there after 22nd, is it? We go there for the citizenship award, which will be their last day.
They're definitely closed then.
We've not had any conversations.
Oh,
with
that's
them.
June.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So see, that might be an issue.
And there's no streaming capability there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that, that,
For what it's worth, there is, there's the library here, and it is possible in some instances, you might bring in people, in groups, where, it's possible for us to stream, I assume, in the library while things are going on, and then organize, people who want to provide input to you into groups and stage them in the library or elsewhere in the building and bring them in an organized fashion if we don't have capacity. That is a possibility as well.
Yeah, my concern would just be that everybody gets heard and that there's a good stage for it, so that no one can, after it's passed, argue that they didn't get their fair shot.
Absolutely. Could not
So,
agree more.
yeah.
But we have more resource here in this space,
Mhm.
that we could bring to bear.
Okay.
Obviously it's up to y'all, but. Well,
Yeah, it is council's direction on this. I would highly recommend separating them out. We've talked through dates, just because they're two very important items for the community. I expect a lot of conversation, especially around the UDO. The budget's going to be a large discussion as well throughout this process. So I would recommend thinking through that. We've thrown out some ideas of, June 9th, which is that Tuesday before. That's a special, right now it's Board of Adjustment, but again, there could be some movement there. We've also looked at potentially June 4th as the Thursday before. Again, just for some ideas for consideration, but that way then there's a clear delineation between discussions around the UDO and discussions around the budget.
I will be out of town the first week of June.
Okay.
That's what I was
With
fixing to
regard
say.
to
Yeah, we
be
gotta
here.
think about everybody getting out of school and everybody
Hmm.
heading to the beach or something. We're gonna lose a lot of even residents putting input in if we're not careful.
Needs to stay on those 2 weeks, I think. While we're pondering this, does the fee schedule really matter since we're given 12 months, no fee?
Well, there could be other applications that get submitted. Somebody might come in for a zoning compliance permit on that following day, or somebody might come in for something else. Yeah, it does matter. We
Okay.
need, if the test for my application is complete, is I paid the required fee, and we don't know what the required fee is,
Mhm.
then I can't have a complete application. So
Okay.
that would be a problem.
Can we do the 17th? Or whatever that Thursday is in between the two. 18th.
I'm good. with
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, the one concern that I would just ask council to consider is the condensed timeline then around any feedback from that first meeting then to the second meeting, which would be a week later.
We're probably, well, I see what you're saying.
Couldn't we do the budget on the 18th
Absolutely good.
and then do these two on the 11th and 25th?
that works with you, don't it?
Sure.
It keeps you on your schedule.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
And they're gonna be evening meetings?
I'm sorry.
Are there gonna be evening meetings?
Again, that would be up to council's, direction. I just want to point out yet, so our finance director is going to be out on the 18th. From a budgetary perspective, it would be beneficial to have her in the room for those discussions. But again, that week, we could look at that week as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 18th, if there's another day that week.
Tuesday. Are you here with that? Yeah, they're
The
asking that week.
16th.
That's an option. I'm,
Mhm.
you good?
I'm good with it.
That's good.
As long as it's an evening meeting, I can
Oh,
do
well,
it.
well, we will. Yeah, that way we give the residents a chance to come too.
Mhm.
So, how do we just see that by motion? Okay, somebody make that motion.
I'll make
Run
a,
the budget on that night, correct? Is that your plan?
I'll make a motion that we have a special meeting on June 16th to discuss the budget
It'll be a public hearing
Public hearing.
and
to,
public hearing.
okay,
I'll second.
and Brian second. Any discussion on what we just did? Everybody understand it?
Do we need to set a time?
It'll just be 6:30, I'm sure.
Okay.
Keep it in line with everything else. Is that okay with you, Brian?
I'm assuming it's okay. I haven't put my camera up and pulled it out.
And if
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, my technology, is very limited. So,
I understand. I'm the same way, sir.
Brian said he may be busy, but then he looked over at Taylor to check.
Hey, Brian, if it makes you feel better, my wife used to text the clerks and say, you need to take no, cause he's committed to something else when he just signed up for that deal. So, anyway, so 6:30 on the Tuesday night, the 16th.
June
June the
16th.
16th.
Everybody good with that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. And if something happens, we'll work through it.
Are we gonna go ahead and set a special meeting for the 11th and the 25th?
They're already on there.
They're
I
already
think.
on
Yeah,
there.
they're already on there.
Mention, if we are expecting, a significant amount of input, a desire for input on the part of the public, would you want to move the meeting start time from 5:30 or from 6:30 to 5:30? It's up to you. I mean, we're here forever, but
Right.
whatever, just put that out there for your consideration. If you are expecting, lots and lots of people, it might be wise to start a little earlier.
So how would we handle that in this situation? Will we just have multiple batches of basically public comment in this process?
Yep. We would do a very abbreviated introductory presentation, mostly just for the record, really. We're not gonna give a lot of background and detail. We'll cover some, but yeah, I mean, those nights are mostly for the community to share their concerns. They're gonna raise questions, they're gonna make statements, and some of those questions we'll need to provide some feedback to you on. Is this correct? Is this incorrect? How do we think about that question? How that's usually done, is you let all of the speakers speak and then we get up and we talk about it. But there's no reason that we couldn't do 10, 15 people, have a response, move on to the next 10, 15 people, have them share and get and hear any kind of reaction or whatever. from that. That's absolutely doable.
Okay.
You know, really and truly, we won't know until we, you know, open the doors and find, you know,
Right.
500 people here, or there's, you know, 50 people here. We
Right.
just won't know until we get there. But
Mhm.
usually what happens is there's testimony, there's a response. But I feel like if we've got several hundred people, it probably makes sense to kind of insert some response midway through, so you aren't remembering what the, you know, first person said after 300 people have spoken.
Yeah, where we're getting this notion that we're gonna have a bunch is the voluntary annexation of the mountain property. There was approximately 90. Well, this room will hold 100, but we had them plumb out through yonder, so.
Yes, yeah, but
It
we
was just,
think we were fine with the fire marshal, but it would have been really snug. So that's
Right.
why we moved him to the library. I moved some.
and we do have capability of streaming to TVs over there, what's going on in here in the library, I guess, with some,
There's a little delay, but yes, sir.
okay. All right.
Okay, fantastic. Last slide. Just a reminder, we are anticipating being on your TV screens for your regular meeting on the 26th to answer any additional questions that you guys may have. And by no means you are last bite at the apple. You'll have plenty of other chances to talk with us, but we are planning to be available for discussion with you on the 26th. Few days. And if you have other questions or comments, please feel free to bring those. And Karen, thank you so much. Awesome.
I will say that I wish council would really take a good hard look at the landscape ordinances and provisions, the screening of the buildings, all that. That's where I'm getting the most phone calls and stuff from now is do we as council feel like that is the perfect fit for Mills River at this time? I know we can go in and we can change it and we can lessen it fairly easy later on. But this is something that somebody can't come to us and ask. Yeah, they can go for variances and they can do this and that, but to save the headache up front, if, you know, if we don't think a certain thing is appropriate for Mills River at this time, do we leave it out? Just have him X-Med right off the bat, and then that saves a lot of argument and discussion on one of these other nights if we know it's not a fit for Mills River.
I will say the other night, out of my 13 or whatever, one of those was actually mine. All the rest of them were, okay, I'll ask.
Yes,
So-
exactly. Yeah, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. You know, it's hard for 5 of us to think about all this being applied to these properties and going forward, because it's just been, you got it, you're paying your taxes on it, just do what you will with it.
Right.
And now we're talking about taking 22 square miles and stacking all this on top of everybody.
It's not an easy adventure.
No.
And yeah, I mean, you know, you guys understand a lot, you work very hard, but you're not going to be, you know, land use planners in 2 hours of meetings or, you know, a day of presentation on this
Right.
thing. You know, just like I'm not going to be a builder after I follow you around
Right.
for a day.
Oh, I mean, I get it. Yeah.
So
But
Yeah,
the ultimate responsibility of this package lies in the hands of the 5 of us
sure, that's
when
right.
it's all said and done.
That's right.
And, you know, I've got some, you know, I do get don't get me wrong, I do get a bunch of emails. They're generic. I support the UDO,
Mhm.
you know, but I also get those hour and a half phone calls. Well, hey, you know, I was thinking about doing this, and the way this is drafted, you know, I'm talking to my buddy, and it's gonna cost me $40,000 more to do this same project moving forward. So do I want to put that burden on my neighbors in Mills River? I mean, I know, see, I have problems with the word rural. I do. I grew up here. I've been here my whole life. You know, rural is to me, it's a little different
Mhm.
to me. I ain't gonna say how I feel about that word, but I think of Mills River more as country,
Okay.
country living. you know, going home, if there's a cow in the middle of the highway, you know, most everybody's gonna call the law, but a lot of people leaving here will stop and actually try to protect the cow and get it back in a fence and will know the farmer.
I was gonna say, you'll know whose cow it is.
Yeah, you'll probably.
the one
already
guy
know
that has
whose cow
cows.
it is. And I mean, I don't know what you're gonna find that in a rural atmosphere. And I don't want us to lose that sense either.
Sure.
And by taking this thing and turning stuff certain ways and, boxing stuff in and all, I'm still a little bit apprehensive of some of these things.
Understand.
And I just don't want to be the one outcast, even though I might be, but I just want council. I know we're hearing everything on this land and the sizes of these lots and all. And they're going to get a chance to possibly fix that through us later on, possibly, as long as it's not
Right.
a down zoning situation. Yeah.
Right.
But some of this, I just want to make sure the five of us understands that what we're putting on these people are going to be there for a few months at best till we get a change. If we see there's a change made, but if it's just something that we don't feel like's a fit from Mills River, I think we just slide it off to the side and possibly add it back later, if needed, if it becomes more rural than we think it is.
But we
Would
can't
make me
add it
feel-
back later if it's more restrictive.
Huh?
We can't add it back later if it's more restrictive though.
I don't know that will always be in play, but
Yep.
it might be.
It will be. It's not going anywhere.
Well, I mean,
I always encourage, and I understand that you guys have a lot of constituents and they've got a lot of concerns, and I always encourage them to talk to staff. Because staff, as far as this goes, is familiar with the document, and there may be some things that that they understand, or that they, realize how it operates, and can help answer people's questions about,
Yeah.
wait a minute, it's gonna cost me $40,000. Well, did you think about this, or did you think about that? Maybe it won't cost you $40,000. Here's another angle to think about it. And
Right, I
staff
agree.
is a resource there that they can avail themselves of.
Yeah,
So,
the problem we deal with, is we're dealing with most of these questions at night after we're done, worked our day.
sure.
And then we're in our head trying to fix the last person that caused problem because we had to leave them shortchanged. I really don't know. Let me think about it. And then the next one comes,
Right.
and then the next one comes. The next thing you do, you're trying to fix 3 or 4, see how it fits. And it's just overwhelming,
Understood.
overwhelming.
I will give one attaboy to Mike. I on one occasion told him I was gonna directly use his words. I've used his words a ton, but, he will give you good feedback to be able to provide feedback. It's
Oh,
sort of
absolutely.
become my
Yeah. Absolutely.
response when somebody asks, like, give me a day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I would
I've had
invite, go ahead.
que- I was gonna say, I've had questions too that, I couldn't find it in here, so I called and sent it to Mike, and Mike corresponded and
Mhm.
answered
Sure.
questions.
Yeah, he's excellent at it.
Mm.
Yeah, he is.
Then any of the people who you guys are actually getting pushback from, I would encourage, tell them to call me. I've gotten 0 people, 0, who have actually been against this.
Real.
Yes. I've never been stopped in Ingalls. Nope. But I did get stopped once, and that's because the person requested, will you make my land more restricted? And I told him to go see Mike. You got one the other night? Yeah.
Okay.
So
I see. I see. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's trying to do what's best for the 70-something hundred people that live here is what I'm trying to do. Make
Sure.
sure we can all still live here. I want to make sure the ones that's here don't feel like they need to move. And I ain't gonna lie to you, at times as I look through this, I'm looking more south from here. As bad as I hate to say it. That's me. I'm just telling you. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it in front of God and everybody. I feel like that this document, and I've been here for 17, going on 18 years. This document right here gives staff way more power than they've ever had in the town of Mills River ever before. Not saying it's a bad thing, but I know what staff we got now. I can't tell you what staff we're gonna have later. And that gives me the creepy crawlies, because all my forefathers that was in these seats before me, we kept it real tight, a real tight grip on it, because every one of us was natives of here. And we knowed what we wanted it to look like moving forward. And it's still new. You know, we're just 20-something years into this deal. And we wanted to keep a real tight grip on it. And those are some of the ones that's calling me, the ones that's still alive. They're the ones that call me saying, hey, you're slowly but surely letting the grip slip. And I understand it. And I just want everybody, I think everybody needs to know that, because the ones that's moved here for a reason, because it's a wonderful place to live. And I hope if we do this, this is for the good of the people. And we don't go back a few years later and say, boy, we kind of dug in a little too deep there. And that's hard to change it. And that's just where I'm at with it. Okay. But other than that, there's a ton of work went in it, a ton of suggestive advice, plus all the public comment, plus looking at the master plan. When these master plans go out, to what it's gonna look like 40 years of comprehensive plan, you don't expect it to come back like it comes back. But it'll always come back the way it did, you know? My problem with that is a lot of the old timers here won't fool with none of that. You mail it out, they look at it, and they're like, I ain't got nothing, I ain't fooling with that. They're getting my tax money, they'll have to figure it out. You know?
There's been hours spent reading this and putting all these tabs in here. And there are questions that have been asked, and there's more questions to be asked that we'll send to Chad and get feedback on. And we need help from y'all too. So if what they put out at the meeting the other night, dig into it, read it and look and see and give feedback. And know that we've got time to work on it now and get it to where we need it to be.
Yes, we close in on that 25th date for sure. We're gonna have limited amount of time to negotiate and get it if we're gonna push it through.
Sure.
We'll run out of time. Okay. Well, is that all everybody's got?
If I may, council, just for clarification, March 26th, we're going to have an item on the agenda, just like we have been carrying over. Chad's going to be joining us virtually. Please, from what I've heard, feel free to send those questions directly to Chad. He'll address those during that March 26th meeting. If you would like to go, through staff to pass them up as well, by all means, you can do so as well. But is that the understanding? Is that we're going to be passing that along and then answering those questions and anything else at March 26th?
Okay. I would think so.
Yeah.
What's the email? Or do you want to give it to me later
The email for
to send questions to you?
me,
Or how do you want us to send them to you?
you can get my email from Mike, and
Mhm.
that'll be just
Okay,
great.
that'll be
We're
perfect.
Also on Imagine Mills River,
Yeah.
there's a place to put in a comment.
Comment,
Okay.
Those
yeah.
emails come to us too. So if there's somebody in the audience or on TV who has questions, use the website. You can get
Okay.
it straight to us. And
Perfect.
we'd love to hear from people.
Yeah, we'll pass that along to you, Councilmember Good. And yes, thank you. ImagineMillsRiver.com is the one-stop shop for all this. If those that are listening have not signed up yet, the amount of information under documents, the things that we've been talking about on Tuesday night are there on the documents page. As you scroll through, it starts with the first documents that have been discussed all the way down to the very bottom with the last ones that have been here. So for those that are hearing about this now, all that information, full transparency is available on that website. And if you have any questions, by all means, as I mentioned, reach out to us, reach out to staff. We're happy to sit down with you. We're happy to talk to you on the phone. We want everyone to feel comfortable throughout this process.
And we thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be
And
careful with
we'll
travels.
talk to you soon.
Okay, other business, any other business?
Yes, we do. At your desk, will find email public comment.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Just wanna make mention of that, and it's gonna be included with the minutes.
Everybody's got it in front of them. It was from Daryl Fulham. Understood. Thank you. Make sure it's noted in the record.
And I have other business.
Sure.
'Cause I forgot in my council comments. Thank you for getting the lower or the northern loop bush hogged and the stumps out of the ditch. Will you? I called Matt, but I wanted to publicly thank you for that. That was pretty quick considering we're the government.
I want to thank Nicole and the entire Parks and Recreation staff for spearheading that. We're excited about that. We're excited for what that means for the next
Yeah.
step in the back.
Any other business? Seeing that we have nothing else on, our business meeting, are we going into it tonight?
I do have a couple of
Okay.
quick items on potential future agenda items.
Okay, if we're gonna do that, then I'll save my comment for then. I think it's more fitted. Okay. All right, with that, I need a motion to adjourn our regular meeting.
I make a motion that we close the regular meeting.
All right, Sanders second. Brian second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Here none. All right, and if somebody make us a motion to go into our business meeting portion of this. All right, second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sandra. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I just had a few, future agenda items, but I don't want to jump in case there's anything from council that you would like to bring up first as potential items.
Okay, the only thing I've got is where are we at with the nuisance ordinance? What we decide to do with that? Is that one of yours? Or-
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You read my, my cliff notes.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Just, we're thinking alike, so let's see what you're at with. it.
Yes, so, on the March 26th business meeting, we were going to recommend bringing forward the draft nuisance ordinance language discussion. So again, staff has been working, to pull that together, and so we're in
Okay.
a position to bring that forward at the next meeting if you would like.
That's perfect.
It's a business meeting item. There's nothing that's going to be acted upon, or there's nothing that we plan to be acted upon, but really just getting that conversation going.
As long as we can get it going, I'll be happy.
We also have on the, proposed on the March 26th business meeting, presenting the NCDOT speed study results. So staff is going through that, and then getting council direction on what those next steps look like, once we present that. So once that presentation happens, we're going to ask for future guidance, which may create a regular agenda item in the future. A comfort on that, is that?
No, that's fine.
Okay. The only other item that I have, for consideration for the March 26th regular meeting is, the Henderson County Historic Resources Commission resolution for council consideration. So we're in a position, looking at the agenda currently for that, council gave me direction at the last meeting to try to find, a time for that, on a slower agenda night. We're still forming that agenda, but, I'm working with the representatives of the Henderson County Historic Resources Commission. I want to give them enough time to be able to be here and be present. So unless something comes up, are we comfortable with that direction as well?
I've never heard you form a slow agenda or light agenda, so
Yeah.
sure.
Stacked would be more like it. A
Yeah.
stacked.
Two items today. We went from 3 items last time to 2.
Hey, look at Brian looking around the corner. He's like, it's need to know information, guys, before I give my fee schedule out.
Yes, that document is signed.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, those are all the items that we had. I just wanted to make sure, that there weren't any questions, concerns about that. If there's anything else that we need to bring March 26th, to let me know.
Yeah, we'll bring one resolution for the.
Yeah.
holding those applications
Yes.
in there.
Perfect.
Yes.
Brian's
Well,
got it.
Good, that'd be awesome. I don't know if we can read it, Brian.
As a reminder, that contract is signed. Yes, so, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm-
Yeah, Brian, all of us went to Mills River Tech right over here, so we don't read real good.
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 Great.
Yeah, ready.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second, yeah, good. All in favor?
Ah.
Aye. We're out of here, folks.